Greetings, this is Mask, and you know the drill. You clicked on the video, yeah, boss rankings, best to worst. Of course, this is in the Revengeance Inferno mod, so yeah, full mod spoilers ahead. Additionally, I will be counting some AC fights if they meet the criteria of having at least 3 named AC fighters in their battle, and at least 1 boss bar. With all that out of the way now, let's get on to the rankings without further ado. Number 20, Karasawa nepenthes. Now instead of pronouncing one weird word, you now have to say 2. This version of nepenthes has had their super beam changed out for a Karasawa beam. Yes, that does mean it can hit you through the floor, and yes, that does mean it makes it even more of a chore than it is in the base game. On top of it making you question your life decisions, this thought-provoking jump also makes you question why the developer of this mod made so little alterations to the fight that it feels like these tedious laser changes are the only one in the whole fight. Why would you even bother if you're just gonna touch it and... Oh wait, you can still cheese it with a pulse scudam. Nice silver lining, I guess. Number 19, Cataphract RD. You know, I get what the dev was saying about nightmare fodder if you want harder enemies, but when it's compared to the other bosses in this mod, this version of the Cataphract is literally just a palette swap with a couple of generic stat increases. It isn't even a damage buff, weirdly. I guess it's fine to just buff HP and stability and then say, yeah, that's an original boss. You may as well just attach duct tape to a toaster and call it a new model, but what even was the thought process put into... Oh, the original was unstaggerable. But at least that was more... Oh, okay, now I just pity as a boss. I pity him. Like, this guy needs some love that doesn't make this fight a slog.
Like, Burb, please. Please just give this guy some love. Give him some love. Number 18, the Balam redguns. Have you ever wanted to fight, like, all the redguns before? Has it ever struck your fancy to duel Michigan with all his mates beside him? Well, yeah, this fight is going to make you rethink that notion. Not only is Volta not actually included, though I think it was a good thing here, but Iguazu makes an appearance in the level when the dialogue hasn't even been modified to still claim that he's a deserter. Does he have a change of heart when he sees you wrecking Balam, or... Oh, wait, that's what's happening in Death 2? Wait, what was he using his original AC now? You know you're in poor shape when I'm questioning the lore in mods. The fight itself is tedious, with the MTs seeming to conveniently ruin the fight whenever they feel like it, and the redguns themselves being ready to kick your head in if you don't give them attention, and backup redguns arriving if you don't kill the current one in time. This fight is less like a fight and more like a DPS test. Number 17, Surmount, Princess, and Corrales. I really want to like this fight, but like, yikes. Princess is the only AC in the fight who could be considered remotely harder than the original, while the only award Surmount wins is being more aesthetically pleasing than his base game counterpart. These guys will have a fighting will to destroy every notion of difficulty the Inferno stands for, without so much as backup MTs for the natural incompetence that comes with being an NPC AC. Their fighting styles do not have any synergy at all, and the fight quickly becomes even worse when you realize that Corrales, the Nightfall equivalent, does not assault boost into battle and just sits at his spawn location. I'm gonna be honest, I like the fighting concept, but fighting Inferno's top players does sound fun. But this shouldn't be the finished product. Number 16, the Tester ACs. The first technical boss, by my criteria, you face in the game. It's impressive how well-tuned this fight is, if I'm being honest. Despite being a 6-on-1 AC combat situation, they're all incompetent enough that you can solo them without feeling the need to cheese them. But on the other hand, I have never seen a single person who doesn't figure out the fact that you can actually cheese them. You can lure them away one by one, and it's a little bit jarring, and yeah, I'm gonna be honest, that's part of why I rank this so low, is because it's hard to find more things to say about them. Loadout variety is neat. No idea why the level just ends when the main AC dies. Yeah, I'm struggling, I'm gonna be real. Get out. Number 15, the Juggernaut Duo. This feels like one of the most classical, brain-dead lobotomite-esque takes on increasing boss difficulty I have ever seen. The dev really looked at the Juggernaut and said, why not 2? Which is a shame, since that means that you don't get to run into a single modded enemy until Attack the Watch point. I know that I just accused the Cataphract of being a generic stat increase with a new paint job, but if you'd done that here, it would be fine. The extra MTs add just enough to the fight where it stands as a fun new creative detail, but like, why 2? It's just making the fight feel harder in the Scrap Heap mod. If I wanted to fight 2 Juggernauts, then I would just go there. Please. Number 14, Carla, Chatty, and Dave. This fight takes the fight of Carla and Chatty and inserts a new RAD member complete with repair kits. While the fight itself remains largely unchanged, Dave throws a wrench into things by being a ready-to-use stagger punish and a fellow stagger builder alongside Chatty, specifically in his extra delivery boy and missiles synergizing with the chaos brought about by him. This makes it a nightmare of an experience, but things get a lot easier once you get at least one down. Not a fight particularly of note, but an overall enjoyable extra all the same. Number 13, Pater, Hawkins, and Snail. Yet another fight of quality where you terrorize Arquebus's local twink by killing his dad, but this time Snail gets to sneer at him from the sidelines. An overall solid format, impressively enough. The fight itself uses Kaiser as backup, who's tanky enough to keep your opponents busy. I honestly find it amusing just how this mission was overhauled, and it gives a fresh take on the fight that, while mediocre in combat, holds up as a solid and memorable encounter all the same due to its plot changes. Number 12, Coral Army. Have you ever had a fight so frustrating yet creatively enjoyable that you both despise and love it to the point of stifling mediocrity? Yeah, that's this fight. The Ice Worm now has buddies of its own, while you yourself are given 2 extra friends for support. Yet it seems shockingly easy to become completely overwhelmed by the second phase. Mix this with the fact that the Ice Worm deploys Helianthus machines as well as drones, and you have yourself a strategic and witty battle where you have to juggle the constant threat of sea weapons in front of you, while also fighting the looming threat of the Ice Worm, which needs to die for the mission to complete. It's due to how infuriating this fight can be at times that, well, it doesn't scratch my top 10. Number 11, the Augentius. This is a fight that's particularly unique in the sense that it's actually teased in the arena entry for Eve, the leader of this group of chums. Regardless, I can't help but feel like her backup has the single most competent AI in the entire mod, despite them barely having any repair kits. Since it's an AC fight, there isn't a ton to get into. But all the same, the hard but fair AI, overhauled dialogue, and sick ACs make it a rather memorable custom level, and easily several steps up from the O'Keefe mission in the original game. Number 10, Balteus HE. The first of the truly modified bosses in the mod, and an odd introduction of what you can expect from the mod's bosses going forward. This model of Balteus is sent in when collateral damage isn't a concern, which is to say he has a bazooka machine gun, and a bazooka shotgun, and missiles that give electric discharge for some reason. While I do see the need for more status bosses, it does feel a bit jarring here, and the tweaks towards it are quite simple and easy to understand, with some people not even noticing that it had different attacks. Is it funny? Yeah. Is it awkward? Yeah. Still a solid boss? Yeah. Once you get past the fact that this guy can one-shot you if you don't position yourself correctly, it's a fun, high-pressure boss. And hey, the LCs add their own aspects too, with their flares even being able to disrupt Balteus' missiles, so you may want to deliberately bait out that attack when the big guy wants a volley right at you, but you're currently engaging one. Overall, an intriguing fight that I appreciate. Number 9, the Advanced Cavalry. This fight shows you just how much you can do with a normal enemy to elevate them to boss status. A set of pulse armor, 3 repair kits, and an entire second phase right on your plate just inside of this shimmering white HC. And while it's an absolute nightmare to deal with in the arena, the fight proper is one of the easiest in the game, mainly due to the fact that it's a 2-on-1 fight, with the light cavalry accompanying this brute being a light snack at best. Mix this with the fact that Princess, the AC by your side, is not only borderline immortal, but also has one of the most competent AIs in the entire mod and will readily trivialize and even solo the thing if you aren't pulling your own weight. And while I have my new favorite waifu here, I think this does not justify the fact that this fight can get as easy as it does. It sadly makes it a bit lower in my eyes than I'd like. But in the meantime, though, can we talk about how cool it is that the Advanced Cavalry's pilot is a rank higher than any PCA craft we see in the base game? I'm sorry, that's just so cool. I'm geeking out so hard. Number 8, Cell 240 Apollyon. Yeah, so this is the boss that reminds you that bubble guns exist. This version of Ibis sends shockwaves through the entire arena with every wave, has strengthened beams, and a nightmarish new attack made to punish for treating the boss too aggressively. The balance you have to walk while fighting it is tight but rewarding, all while you keep up your DPS on a quick opponent that almost always has their guard up, but has very little proper health. Also, can I mention how cool the idea of having a sea wave inside of the machine to harass you throughout the fight is? This fight has seriously improved battle dialogue changes, which have been made to be far less annoying and repetitive than the original. And while it's a niche sort of change, it's one that I appreciate. Number 7, the Ectromoy RD. Good pastrami, I'm glad these guys had their damage nerfed. These special Ectromoy units are deployed when their gunmetal counterparts simply don't cut it. Kinda makes this line hit a little different if I'm being honest. Strangely, the focus on danger of this fight has made a full 180. The Lance Ectromoy, while now wielding the plasma cannon that was ditched by its brother, is still easily overshadowed by the new Ectromoy HE model, armed to the teeth with explosive throwers and a grenade shotgun that will make you tear your own hair out if you don't evade its charged attack properly. With the swap of who's the bigger threat, you have to consider how you engage the situation very carefully, as the Lance unit can end your attack if you attempt to bring it down its friend first. Oh, also, being painted red canonically makes you more durable now. Yeah. Number 6, Balteus ML, specifically Pater's variant. I will freely admit to despising the light cavalry Pater for being easily the most disappointing boss in the entire game, so you could imagine my excitement when I realized that he now had a Balteus unit in his hands. Due to being a technical repeat of Snail's fight, I ultimately consider him superior, and I will explain what I love about this fight so much later, but the new room and context makes this easily one of the funnest battles in the game, and an all-time great of the mod. Number 5, the boys. Oh boy, we're on to the top 5, and we've had an AC sneak its way into one of the entries. Above the Ectromoy, Balteus, and Cell 240. It's almost baffling how this one fight found its way this high, considering that the last one was 6 entries ago, but man does this fight hit that old gen sweet spot. Starting with the dialogue, each member of the team has been handed a small pool of dialogue that is simply it gives a surprising amount of personality to each member of the team. But it isn't just a dialogue matter, all of them play their relative roles in the team. Kaiser, the heavyweight biped, will stay at a range while barraging you with various plasma weaponry and a hammer if you get too close. Royal, the group leader, keeps it at mid-range with consistent but damaging laser fire. Vark is constantly up in your face, making sure to keep your aggro on him at no matter the cost. Apollo constantly fires active homing missiles while remaining a defense-based close-range opponent. And Journalist, clearly not wanting to be fighting Inferno Raven, slinks in the back, doing the bare minimum as a support fighter. It's insane how well you could pair any of these two and watch a TV show episode on them just because of how well this team works. The difficulty is on point, the characters are astounding, and in all honesty, it's the literal best AC fight there ever could be. Any bosses from here on out, they have to go above and beyond. Number 4, the final battle. Goodness. This thing was originally my number 2, but after reconsidering a few decisions, then I was like, yeah, the other ones are just higher quality, but man, this is such a fight. Informally dubbed by the community as the 4th ending of AC6, this battle hit me in the feels. When you first load into the mission, you get to have a good laugh as you realize that none other than V2 Snail was responsible for this weird ending. Upon facing him and 4 other Arquebus ACs, he'll then get a rather golden line from Iguazu after he crushes the Vesper. This is where the real battle starts. Yes, that is a coral-powered Rusty, and yes, you should take Air very seriously when she says more to come. You now have a full-on Avengers Assemble moment where all lore pretenses and context are thrown out the window in the best way possible. Everyone is here, and that also goes for the enemy faction too. Nearly every boss in the Inferno attends Iguazu's side, with Iguazu himself now armed with a powerful pulse shield. It's here that you make a choice. To take out the other bosses, have more allies to face Iguazu at the risk of your rival getting a cheeky hit in, or to focus on Iguazu and potentially have your allies killed and end up in a horrible situation. When it comes to being a tactician in Inferno, this is the absolute peak of it. Every choice counts, with golden dialogue, all the fan favorites, and the most hype finale to any AC6 playthrough I've ever done. Overall, just wonderful fight, but not as good as the next ones we're gonna get. Number 3, Soul 644 Inferno. The fact that Inferno is quite literally in the name of the boss should already let you know you're in for a treat, because in this universe, air counters the burning of coral with burning every fiber of your being in this new and creative take on the boss. With splitting missiles, napalm, new types of missiles, and all the fast-paced combat, this turned up the difficulty of the base game boss to 11 in the best way possible. You need full coordination to avoid the missiles and be ready to avoid all the heat air is literally throwing at you. While there are certainly some performance issues in this boss, the balancing choice of making her deal high damage but have comparatively low health compared to other Inferno bosses I felt was a fantastic choice and really shows how fun moveset adjustments can be. Number 2, Balteus ML, Snail specifically. Balteus ML. Known better by the title Moonlight Balteus, this is flat out one of the most beautiful bosses I've ever played against in gaming. And yet it doesn't just nail presentation, but has some of the most unique attacks in the entire game if I'm being honest, far more so than anything in the base game. This includes Snail's Moonlight Plasma Net, his splitting pulse missiles, and that rapid fire moonbeam that— oh wait, what's happening to my AP? Anyway, it's interesting to see a boss based around raw DPS rather than impact, and it feels like a lot more of a realized version of Arquebus Balteus' potential. It makes you find new ways to dodge for the new attacks, sort of like the new missiles on Soul, but better. This is the way a boss can keep you on your toes, and it's honestly a 10 out of 10, and it's left me craving for new fights like itself. Only that Moonlight laser keeps me from putting it above this last one. Number 1, the Coral Enforcer. Goodness gracious, man. I guess I should start here. This is my personal take, so you don't have to agree with me here. I know some people think he's too hard, but wow. What a difficult boss. And I am an adrenaline junkie. I am addicted to that stuff like it's a drug. So, the moveset, just like the normal Enforcer, is very aggressive and fast-paced, and yet the new attacks make up for its shortcomings. He can make the floor basically a giant hazard area in one strike, forcing you to play more aerially, whereas if you get too close, then rather than simply doing melee, then his missiles are also very effective at countering you. He seems to have an effective counterplay for almost all measures aside from hovering at this specific angle above him, which is really fun because then you're sort of just— it's a very adrenaline-filled fight, and one that really resonates with me on a deeper level. When it comes to just the process of the dance with a boss, then I have not experienced any better than this. This is just its peak. It's very, very difficult, and sometimes then it's harder, like really hard on midweights and heavyweights. It's a little easier as a lightweight, but I personally prefer to play midweight, but man, it is a rewarding battle, and I cannot say enough good things about it. Even though I think there are flaws, I still love it, and this is definitely my number 1. But what do you think? What's your favorite boss in Inferno? Do you disagree with any of my takes, or are you wholeheartedly supporting my opinions? Or have you never played the mod before? If so, feel free to download it and send an endorsement Burb's way for this wonderful mod, and I'll see you in the next one. And I really hope I can sustain a more consistent upload schedule. Be seeing you.